got no choice. Are you girls and boys?
And it was the dirtiest programme that I have seen for a very long time.
Just imagine it. A nude rock star with his snake out in the middle of London. Oh yeah, that was always going to create some havoc. It's 1972, and American shock rocker Alice Cooper is enjoying success at home in the US, and is setting his sights across the Atlantic. He was already becoming famous for his live shows featuring dark, horror-themed elements. A year earlier, in 1971, whilst doing a first headliner tour, he got the idea of developing his stage show by bringing on a live boa constrictor. The band had been approached by a woman backstage in Florida, with a boa constrictor coiled around her arm. After the initial shock, Alice realized that he could replicate this kind of reaction for his own audience, and thus began Alice's snake obsession. The Alice Cooper Band had landed in the UK with a lot of expectation, and ready to take the country by storm. But there was one problem. Not many people had heard of them. Based on their US success, they were able to get a booking for a gig at Wembley, the old Empire Pool. 10,000 seats. But things weren't exactly going to plan. Only 50 seats were sold. Crikey, what do they do now? But they did have a plan. Something that had already worked for them stateside. You see, Alice had relied on being over-the-top controversial, and this controversy had sold tickets. In other words, the parents hated him. And the teens, of course, loved him. So, arriving in the UK with very little money for promotion, they knew they had to try and get some free press. And they needed parents to hate Alice. Because, of course, then the kids would love him. The result being a solution to their ticket sale woes. So, an audacious plan was hatched to get some free press in the London newspapers. Alice Cooper was about to properly introduce himself to the British public. Alice had at one point been photographed naked with a boa constrictor concealing his private parts. So the plan was to take that photo, superexpose it on a billboard, mount it on a flatbed truck, and have it conveniently break down during rush hour in Piccadilly Circus, smack bang in the middle of London. Oh, they were going all out for maximum impact, and what better way to do this than to bring the British capital's hectic rush hour traffic to a complete halt. Likening a military exercise, they put all the components into place. First of all, they got the truck and the driver. However, the driver was a little bit coy about the whole thing. You know, he did point out the fact that he would probably get arrested for this PR stunt. Which, of course, he was right to say that. However, Alice Cooper's manager, Shep Gordon, would take care of that, and flashed what little cash they had, and it was enough to be persuasive, and the driver agreed. Additionally, and ahead of time, they had already notified the British press that something was about to go down. They needed to make sure that the press would get good pictures of the broken-down truck with the billboard. The Wembley show date and time would also be written in big letters, and the pièce de résistance, a massive photo of a naked Alice with his snake out. A group of reporters and photographers just ever so conveniently happened to be waiting to document a flatbed truck mysteriously breaking down, the ensuing traffic jam, and subsequent police involvement. Alice made the evening news and got on the front pages of the UK morning papers. The next day, the show at Wembley had sold out. Not a ticket left. The single Schools Out had been released in April 1972 and was steadily climbing the charts. In June, the same titled Schools Out album was released, and British kids were finally getting on board. As popularity and sales increased, the Alice Cooper Band could no longer be ignored. School's Out was already starting to become an iconic rock anthem, and the band was set for an appearance on BBC TV's flagship music programme, Top of the Pops. But not everyone was a friend of Alice. Mary Whitehouse was a former teacher and social activist. Straight-laced and straight to the point, she'd made herself known for her strong campaigns against what she saw as declining moral standards in British media. She'd frequently clashed with broadcasters like the BBC over issues such as sex, violence, and blasphemy on screen. She was on a one-woman crusade to save the values of Christian Britain. You see, the 1960s saw the country go through a rapid cultural change, and these changes ran counter to Mary's own conservative Christian views. In fact, her evangelical Christian beliefs were so, let's call them strong, she thought homosexuality was an absolute sin, and any depictions of homosexuality being normal or natural, in her mind, was nothing short of obscene. So you can imagine what her thoughts were of a shock rock singer like Alice Cooper and all the shenanigans he was getting up to. So when Mary got wind of Alice's expected appearance on national TV, she wasn't having any of it. She began one of her campaigns to have the song and even Alice Cooper himself banned from the BBC. The letters and the public speaking began. Filth! Ban this song and its singer! Whitehouse was outraged that such a disgusting song and act could get publicity and be promoted by the BBC. Oh yes, serial complainer Mary Whitehouse wanted to sap every ounce of fun from popular culture. And why? Well, apparently, things were far more wholesome and better in the good old days. So Alice was banned. No Top of the Pops. Even national radio had been warned. This was perfect. Such was the media attention. School's Out climbed the charts and finally hit number 1. The spirit of rebellious rock and roll had overcome the tight constraints of ultra-conservatism. Alice had rained on Mary's parade, and the cheeky fella even went as far as to send her a bunch of flowers, sort of a thanks for helping him become so popular. As for Mary Whitehouse, well, she would continue to complain on a myriad of issues for many years to come.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mary Whitehouse speaking.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say...
And credit where credit's due, not everything she campaigned for was bordering on bonkers. And she did help put sensible protections in place on certain issues. But of course, her evangelical conservative beliefs occasionally made her look a bit like a rabid nut job. And when a certain Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, she found a convenient bedfellow to politically assist with her opinions. And it didn't take long for Maggie to award Mary with the CBE in 1980. And who says it's just an old boys' network, eh? As for Alice Cooper, well, his unique style of hard rock and macabre stage presence would grow in both notoriety and popularity, influencing generations of rock and metal artists in future years. And it must be noted, despite his wild persona, Alice has always been open about his deep Christian faith. So there you go. Being religious doesn't always equate to extreme intolerance. And it shows you can have some fun along the way as well.